24/7. 24/7. Radio Monrovia, 92.1.
This is a real radio station. This is a real.
Yes, indeed, Liberia will definitely rise again. This is our hope and this is our dream. Good morning, this is Family and Society with J. Luther Tarpeh here on Radio Monrovia. And of course, I want you to be my guest. Please don't touch the dial because together I know we can make this country greater. So don't go away. Yes, indeed, that is exactly what I do believe, that certainly this motherland of ours will definitely rise again from the ashes of war, chaos, and devastation. We certainly believe that we together can build Liberia and make our country's story a success story indeed. Good morning again. My name is J. Luther Tarpeh here on Family and Society on Radio Monrovia. Please be my guest for the next 1 hour together. And I do know that our time together will be indeed rewarding. On my show today, I have a very good friend and a brother. We think alike. Both of us believe that no one can do it for us except Liberians himself. His name is Mr. Eric Wowoh. I've had him on the show before, and I'm glad to have him this morning. Mr. Wowoh, you are welcome to Family and Society this morning.
Thank you very much, David. It's my pleasure to be here once again.
Yeah, it's always good to have you. And how has life been for you?
Well, pretty good, running around like a chicken that lost their head, trying to find my head back on. But it's been great. Awesome. Yeah, wonderful.
Indeed. So on today's show, on today's edition of Family and Society, we will be discussing what we call the dependency syndrome and how to break that jinx. How do we break the Liberian dependency syndrome if we certainly want to see our nation prosper like other countries? Let me get the premise, let me get the ball rolling by laying this introductory premise, and then of course I'm going to get to Mr. Wowoh, and we together, both of us Liberians, will definitely discuss the issue of dependency syndrome and how we can handle, how we can deal with it, because I know many of you out there listening to this program almost drowning, someone is killing you almost, depending on you all the time. But we together can fix the problems that confront our nation, Liberia. Let me get started by saying this program, Family and Society, is designed to point out, to sift out our culture and say, hey, you know what? This is how we've been running the country for 166 years. Can we take a break and really look at what we have and reassess our behavior, our thinking, and what we have been doing and what led us to where we are today? And so the Family and Society program is there to kind of speak right to the issues, the social, cultural, and political issues of our time, and how we are able to readjust as a nation to make sure that we do the things that will make our country wonderful and great. This morning, we're going to treat the topic of dependency syndrome. That simply means an adult fully depending on another person for survival or for living. I'm going to say that again. A dependency syndrome simply means an adult, and let me modify, an able-bodied adult, someone who's able to do or work, who has hands and feet, but refuse to work and use it to feed himself and to feed his or her family. How do we stop this kind of culture? It is deeply entrenched in our Liberian culture, so much so that you find that one person will be working, and then the rest of the family members will be depending on this one man's salary. Will be depending on that. How far can we go if we would continue in this path of depending on people? The culture, actually, of every society is laudable. There is no society that has no culture. Every society has culture, and it has cultural practices and behaviors. And the behaviors and practices of the people will determine how far they will go. If the culture has some ugly elements that do not promote societal building, national progress, and development, those things have a way of holding back the society. And as a nation that have gone through terrible civil war, it is time that we begin to reassess our behavior, our cultural practices over the many years as a people, and say, you know what? Now that the war is over, let's drop this. Let's take on this. Let's borrow from this country. Let's look at how this nation did it, how they are able to adjust their thinking, their behavior to becoming a society that is progressive. Dependency syndrome is certainly a major cultural practice here in Liberia. And it stems from the fact that we are Africans, and being African means sharing what you have, taking responsibility of those who are related to you. Turning your back on your relations and turning your back on friends who are in need doesn't really resemble being an African, because we live a very communal life. But in the context of national development and nation building, is that a way that we can modify this kind of cultural practice? It is a way that we can revamp our hospitality values we have, to making sure that people in the land, the nation, will learn to take responsibility for themselves and their families instead of depending on a single person all the time to meet their need. And that's what I have with me in the studio, Mr. Eric Wowoh. And I'm going to ask him some questions, and we together will discuss it. And then after some time, I'm going to open the line so that you will be able to contribute to family and society this morning. Let me just give you a quote that I heard from the Chinese ambassador here in Liberia. He said, in a time of your distressed and physically challenged moment, that is when you are unhealthy, and the doctor called, and the doctor diagnosed that your problem is you need more blood. And because people love you, they want you to live and survive. They will even donate their blood just to help you survive. But now you are okay. You are fit. Your body can now circulate its own blood. He said to us in the crowd that how many of you will want to keep giving blood to someone who is physically fit, able to move, able to stand on his own? You keep giving him blood. Now that drives home the whole concept of dependency syndrome. Eric, you are a Liberian with vast traveling experience over the world, in different parts of the world. Is dependency syndrome a problem in Liberia to begin with?
Absolutely, it's a problem, because a man who is depending on somebody else to take care of him or her really is existing, I won't say living, because your joy, your happiness, everything concerning your life will have to be determined by that person who you depend on. Let's take that back to the national level before we talk about the individuals. The individuals are products of the system that we have built up over the years.
Okay.
All right? So the Liberia as a nation has been a dependent nation, not independent. In the sense that here we are, we have diamonds, we have gold, we have rubbers, we have timbers, we have the human resources, we have a lot. Now we have all in Liberia. Have these things been a blessing to us or been a curse? How can you have all of these things available to you and yet have no food on your table to eat? Yet don't have a job. Yet don't have no education, no electricity, no running water. And you are surrounded by water. The whole city, the whole country is surrounded by water. But yet our people have got no water to drink. What's going on? That's because the dependency syndrome we're talking about started from the very beginning
Of the nation.
of the nation. The founding fathers, in my opinion, did not build this nation upon the principle of empowerment.
Yeah.
Helping people help themselves. Give them a hand up, not a hand out. You know, so when that did not happen and we went to borrowing money from other people, the borrowing of money comes with a condition, a precondition. We say, I'm going to give you my money, but you got to do this. You got to do what I say. You got to live the way I want you to live.
Yeah.
You got to change your living condition. You have to change where you live. You got to change your name. You got to change your address. You got to reduce the number of children you can have. You have to, I mean, it comes to all these conditions. And our government and our system over the years have accepted that. We embrace it. Because we want the money from outside. We don't see the money that we have on the inside. So it's like being in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and still be thirsty, still looking for water. But you are right, you are drowning, but you are thirsty. So my understanding is this. In the absence of empowerment, people become beggars.
So is dependency syndrome a factor of a lack of resources, or it's a mindset?
It's a mindset, and that's the mindset that have translated into our culture.
So can you be poor? Is it possible to be poor in the midst of plenty?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How?
Absolutely. That's because of the mind, the culture. The dependency culture. This is the thing. I don't believe, honestly, this morning, that Liberia's problem is lack of education. I don't think that's so. I don't think.
Why you don't think? Because a lot of people are not.
Well, we have a lot of educated fools.
What do you mean?
Okay, the man's mindset is what set into motion his actions.
Okay.
It's not whether he can read or write, or he can articulate or spell the word. No, that's not it. It's the man, what does he believe? What does he really hold on to as values? It's what determines the success of his career. That's why you have a lot of people.
So is that a fault with our education system?
That's a serious fault.
What is it?
You keep teaching people how to, like for instance, I'll take you this. Every year in Liberia, we graduate about between 2,000 to 3,000 students from the university, the various universities across the country, for non-existing jobs. None. Zero. Can the government adequately employ, let's say, even 30% of these graduates that we put out every year? No. Liberians themselves, are they in the business of empowering people by providing jobs opportunity?
Exactly.
Are they entrepreneurs? Are they business people? Are they enterprise individuals who start something in the village, and say, well, I will be able to employ these 10 of my own people? Zero. All we do is to talk about how this NGO said they're going to bring this for us. The Japanese government said they're going to come and build our roads for us.
Now, Eric, let me hold you by a little bit. As you doing a kind of comparative analysis, you lived in Nigeria for some time.
Yes, sir.
As a refugee.
Yes, sir. For many years.
How many years?
Total of 14.
14 years.
Yeah, running.
The level of dependency on foreign country to come and do your stuff, is that the same thing in Nigeria?
Yeah, it's a cultural thing.
It's an African thing?
It's an African thing, and it's a human thing as well, but it's worse in Africa. This is the point. Nigeria is the third largest producer of crude oil in the world. Yet, they have no oil for their own people.
They don't even...
In Ghana, they produce gold. It used to be called the Gold Coast. When you go to Ghana today, in the lives of the ordinary Ghanaians, you don't see gold in the streets of Ghana. But you went to England and enter the Queen Palace, what do you see?
It's all gold.
It's all gold. Does she have gold? No, England does not produce gold. They produce gold. So how come the man who has all of these things don't have access to them, and the guy who doesn't have it have access to everything?
But a lot of people blame it on the colonialism.
It's not colonialism. I don't believe that anymore. Liberia, for instance, is 166 years old. Are you saying that something that happened 166 years ago, you still haven't gotten over it? The 24 hours that you had yesterday is separated from today's 24 hours.
Okay.
So there's no way, if you squander yesterday 24 hours, there's no way you're going to hold somebody responsible for squandering today's 24 hours. You can't do that. You can't blame the Americans or the British or blame the Western world for where you're at when you have had thousands of 24 hours by yourselves. So my thing is this: we enjoy oppressing other